everyone, happy Sunday. This is Simon with AvaTrade, and I want to welcome everyone to our webinar. And right away, I would like to apologize. There was some technical issues and the recording didn't come out well last week. So after posting it, we had to remove it because it wasn't really a great quality there. So I want to apologize, and I hope that we won't have that issue again. By the way, I'm using a new microphone today, so if you can post maybe some feedback as far as the sound, I hope it will work better. Okay, so welcome everyone again. A special welcoming to our new people, and for those of you that this is your first time, just a few words about the idea of the webinar, and it's pretty much reflected on the title, and it's a weekly trading plan. What we're trying to do here is create structure for the upcoming week and try to discuss things or see what's happening fundamentally, what's the big picture in the world and the financial world, and also looking at technicals, trying to create some plan for the week as far as the specific instruments and so on. And of course, looking at economic calendar, it's one of the things that it's a part of preparation. We'll be talking about it when we get there. Okay, a few things about myself. This is me, Simon Friedman. I'm a senior account manager with AvaTrade, and in June will be 23 years since I started to trade. I was a professional proprietary trader back in New York. I did it for about 11 years, stressful day trading job, and then I moved on to a more or less stressful way of trading, and I started to mentor and educate other traders. And I'm happy currently that I'm helping our customers at AvaTrade, and that's pretty much my history. And I love trading; it's my passion, and sometimes I think it's too much. Trying to work on that. Okay. The agenda of the webinar, we talk about indices, stocks, commodities, and Forex, pretty much the same we do every week. Before we go any further, this is important, the risk warning. You can find full statement or document at risk warning at avatrade.com. Pretty much what we do here is educational. We don't suggest any trades. Of course, you should take responsibility for your trading experience and actions. Okay, these are the channels that we're posting on a regular basis, different things. You have Telegram, Twitter, and my favorite YouTube channel. Most of you are familiar with that. If you're not assigned or if you're not registered for it or subscribed for it, I don't know what's the right word, try to do that. And also after subscribing, you can click on that bell. You'll be notified when new things are coming out, and they're coming on a daily basis. And that includes educational material. You have tutorials, and most of the webinars we do are being recorded and posted. So if you miss the live webinar, you can always find it on YouTube channel and watch it at your convenient time. Okay, a few things. The big picture, you know, what's happening. We started a new earnings season. Actually, it was kicked off by banks reporting, and there were really great reports, especially JP Morgan, and we'll be talking about it in a moment, specifically about the stocks that reported and the stocks that are going to report. So JP Morgan, interesting, they really reported great news. The stock was up on the day on Friday, 7.5%, 7.55 to be precise, and that's really surprisingly high earnings. And the CEO of the company actually made a comment. I want to quote this, and he said the following: the U.S. economy continues to be on a generally healthy footing. Consumers are still spending and have strong balance sheet, and businesses are in good shape, Diamond said in a news release. And he continues, the storm clouds that we have been monitoring for the past year remain on the horizon, and the banking industry turmoil adds to these risks. And that's what CEO of the JP Morgan Diamond said. So it's something to think about, right? And you can find actually a full article here on the marketwatch.com site. I took it from there. And this is something that kind of reflects what's happening. Now, Boeing, we're going to take a look at the charts at the moment, but Boeing stock Friday really fell, and it's been caused by late deliveries. I think some airlines are they were expecting deliveries of the airplanes, but it's not happening for now because there's some issues with the parts production. So the stock reacted in a negative way, also a big thing. And let's go through economic calendar before we go to specific instruments on the terminal. Okay. So again, a few things for new people about the economic calendar. First of all, you can find it on our web trader or the app. And if not, if you choose other sources, it's great. You can find it by just Googling economic calendar. And it's a public information. It's available for everyone. And sometimes people ask how important it is to follow the economic calendar. And again, my favorite thing to answer is, you know, even if you knew exactly what the numbers are going to come out, you can never predict the exact or precise reaction of the market to it. So nevertheless, knowing about the events, it's important, because if you, especially if you're in the trade, so you don't want to be caught by those spikes that are happening during the specific important announcements, for instance, NFP numbers or inflation numbers or decisions of the Feds or any other central banks on interest rate and so on. So it's important to know whether you're using that knowledge or information that comes out or not. That's already secondary. The idea is really to be prepared, and this is the part of the homework that we do here, right? And that's the whole webinar about really preparing yourself. So another thing that I take out here, just high impact events. There are more events there. You can filter them by country, by any other things that relates to your trading or the instruments that you trade. So these are just high impacts that I'm showing here. So the time is GMT over here. Like I said, you should get into a habit of really spending time maybe in the beginning of the week or before the starting week to really look through things and see what's relevant for your trading and maybe make some marks or reminders for yourself and so on. Okay, let's move on. So Monday we have ECB President Lagarde speaking. Okay, so we know that will be affecting Euro first of all, and probably European markets. Tuesday we have meetings from Bank of Australia. We have GDP numbers from China. Very important to see how the economic situation in China is. Also retail sales from China. We have unemployment or employment numbers from UK. We have CPI numbers, inflation numbers from Canada, and that's being followed by the speech of the governor of Bank of Canada. That's on Tuesday. Wednesday, we have CPI numbers from UK and New Zealand. Thursday, interest rate decision from China. They've been really soft there, trying to accommodate the recovery of the economy. So let's see if anything happens there as far as changing the interest rate. And Friday, we have PMI numbers from Germany, PMI numbers from Europe, PMI numbers from UK, and retail sales from Canada. Like I said, if you take a mid impact or low impact, there's more data there, including data from the US. Funny enough, on this high impact, there's no US data showing, but there's some home data and other things that are happening that you can check on your own. Okay, so let's move to the terminal. Before that, Important thing that I just wanted to share with you as well. This is the chart of VIX. Some people ask if call it a fear index and so on. So this is the volatility index of S&Ps, and it goes pretty much. If you can take a look at the spikes, when it reaches 28, 30, 31, that's what the market is selling off. The equity market is selling off, and then when it's around 18, basically it shows that the market is running. Now it's been super slow in the past 3 weeks, super low, you could say. We closed at 1707 on VIX, okay? And it's important because February 2nd, before running higher, we reached the low of 1706. So we closed 1 penny above that number. Interestingly, we didn't touch that. So important to watch the VIX for the upcoming week. Usually, again, a lot of analysts saying the moment we get to 18 level, that's where some traders look to short equity markets, and the opposite, when it goes to around 30, they're looking to, or about 30, they're looking to short the market. So actually, I apologize. Let's start again. So when the VIX are low, that means the market is strong, and when they getting to a critical low level, that's where some traders are looking to short the market. And if the VIX are higher, that means the market is low, the equity market is low, and they're looking for buying opportunities. So according to this logic, some traders might be looking to short the markets at these levels. Now, this is just the VIX analysis. Okay. Okay, let's move into the MT4, and let's start with indices first of all, and we'll start with China. China is having a hard time moving high here. Like I mentioned to you last week and the week before, we're really struggling, and we're really trading around 200 moving average here and not having enough power to move higher, even though the US market moved higher recently. Nikkei, on the other hand, had a very strong week. Pretty much the whole week we moved higher, and we broke through this previous two levels of resistance here. You draw the horizontal line approximately about this level, so you could see we are closed. We closed about the level. So this is crucial here. Few things can happen in Nikkei, and of course, I mentioned to you in a few sessions that the new governor of Bank of Japan came to his position, and maybe some people are hoping for some changes or whatever is happening inside of that structure of the Bank of Japan. It's been affecting the yen, of course, and the Nikkei. So let's see here, if we start establishing support around these levels on the weekly chart, you see it even nicely here. So we might actually shoot up and try to go and retest the higher levels. And back to the daily chart, and if we dip below this level, we'll draw the line around 28,500 and start building resistance, we might see the move to the downside. And of course, it depends a lot what the general market will be doing, what the US market will be doing, and what's happening in general in the equity markets. Okay, let's move to US indices. I just want to give you a few numbers just to get an idea. Dow Jones on Friday fell 0.4%, and he finished the week up 1.2%. So it's a fourth positive week for Dow Jones, and we are facing resistance around these levels. So you could see here there was a lot of resistance that we couldn't break, and there was in January. And then we made the lower low, and then slowly we climbed to the same level, and then we stopped right there. That was Thursday. Friday, like I said, it was a negative day. We tried to go higher, we couldn't. We tried to go lower, we didn't much, and then we closed a little bit lower than the opening, and it's just 0.4%. Okay, so S&Ps had pretty much flat day, as you could see here. It's pretty much, again, up and down, but closed pretty much at the same level. So the open was at 41.70 and a quarter. The close was 41.71.50. So we went $1 and a quarter. So it was a gain of open and close. Interesting. It's showing in the futures close a little bit higher, but the S&P's index itself, it fell 0.2%. That's a little bit confusing here. So just to determine, there's an index and there's a futures from the index. In our case, this is the CFDs for the futures. So you can see the futures here, but the numbers that I'm sharing with you, it's for the actual index, the cash index. Okay, and NASDAQ fell 0.4% on Friday, but rose 0.3%, pretty much flat on both weekly and daily. Okay, so again, Dow Jones facing resistance, S&P's facing resistance, very strong resistance. So let's see if we're going to be able to break it. And the same scenario like always, if we can't break it, we start building or continue building resistance below the level, we might slide in. And of course, it will be depending on a lot of things, and we'll continue with earnings. We're going to go there in a moment. And NASDAQ is strong here, and we should be watching the level of the last day of March, when they ran the market into the highs to close the quarter in a nice way. So the high here is 13,310.5. We might be going there to test it, and then we'll find out what's next. UK index, strong week. We are on the way, possibly retest the highs. DAX, the same thing, was a lot of actions around this level here, around 15,300, went up and down, and then the past few weeks we had a nice move to the upside, and we are on the way to retest the highs. Similar to the French index, it's actually this week it broke through the highs. Interestingly enough, it's the strongest of European indices. Let's see what's going to happen this week. There's a lot of political things. I just read over the weekend that Macron just approved the increase in the pension age. So we might see some demonstrations and protests in France. They like to do that, and I can't blame them. So we might see some issues. Well, let's see if it affects the markets in France. So it's all-time high, looks like it, in the French index. We just broke through it this past week. Nice move to the upside. Let's see. Nifty 50, the Indian index, it's hitting the 100 moving average with its tails, and this could be a hard level to break. As you could see, we tried after this initial drop. We had a lot of resistance from which we made a lower low, and now we had the straight move to the upside, and we're facing the same resistance around this 17,800 level. So we'll be watching that as well. Okay, let's move to the stocks, and we'll start with JP Morgan, as I mentioned. We had surprisingly a great earnings. The stock gapped up and went higher. It closed up 7.5%, 7.55. And as I mentioned to you, the CEO was talking about that things are not so great in general, even though it looks stable, and so on. I'm not going to repeat it, but that's what he said. So other banks did great as well. Citibank also gapped and go. And this week we have two more banks that are reporting. We have Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley. I'm going to show you Goldman Sachs. Morgan Stanley, I'm not sure if MT4 has it. Goldman Sachs also gapped and went higher, and we are facing 200 moving average over here. So judging by the performance of other banks, we might see some good news from Goldman, but you never know until the news are out. And they are reporting on 18th, which is Monday, before the market. Okay. Now let's take a look at Boeing. That we mentioned that things are not so great with deliveries, and the stock reacted right away. We closed on Thursday at 213.40, and then we gapped down about $12, $13, and we closed in a negative territory. So let's see what happens. The following week, we have reports from Boeing on 4/26, just to mention it. We'll be talking about it next meeting, I guess. Okay, so these are the things. If we're already talking about stocks reporting next week, so let's just go through them really quickly. Monday, we have Charles Schwab reporting, and they were downgrading a little bit. The stock went down. We have Goldman, as I said, we have a lot of stocks reporting actually on Tuesday. We have Bank of America reporting. Let's take a look. Where is it hiding? Bank of America also moved together with Goldman in anticipation of possible good news. So Bank of America reporting, Goldman's reporting, Johnson & Johnson is reporting as well. Just to remind you, this gap happened when they reached some agreement or settlement of $9 billion for some issues they had with some of the medication. So Netflix is reporting as well. A lot of earnings on Tuesday, so it's going to be busy. And like I said, there's always something that will play a big role. Sometimes the Fed's decisions, sometimes NFPs or other announcements. And now we in the earnings season, the beginning of the reports. So as we said, the banks started it, and this week some big names like Netflix, Goldman Sachs, and others that we'll get to in a moment. So you have Netflix reporting as well, and that's on Tuesday again. Now on Wednesday, we have a few things that includes Morgan Stanley and Tesla. Now Tesla is a very interesting stock, as we know. It's been sensitive to what's happening in CEO's life. I don't know if I can say that. As you remember, there were all issues with Twitter still in the air. Very sensitive, and I just preparing for the webinar. I just checked. It looks like he's opening a brand new company that's going to be dealing with artificial intelligence. And I guess when we'll know more about that, it might be affecting the price of Tesla stock as well. And that's what happened when he announced that's taking over Twitter a while ago. Okay, so Tesla, the stock is weak. It didn't go up with the market. And the latest thing with Tesla, they dropped the prices. They cut the prices. I'm not sure if globally, but in a few places, including US, they did. So market reacted in a negative way. Now, in the past, when they did it, the market initially reacted to the downside, but then had a nice move to the upside. Let's see if this repeats itself or not. So that's Tesla reporting on Wednesday. American Express and AT&T are reporting on Friday. So this is American Express. A lot of actions here. Some buildup is happening after the sell-off. Hard to say what's happening. Let's take a look at the weekly chart. went a sell-off and consolidation here. And AT&T, let's try to find AT&T. Here it is. Okay, AT&T built a nice base of support around here, around $18.50, and it's trading close to $20. We tried a few times to break about 21 by the tail here that failed, 21.5. And let's see what the earnings bring. We might see some interesting actions in the stock. Okay, so just to wrap up with the stocks, we had banks reported nicely. We have more banks coming up this week. We have Tesla reporting, we have Netflix reporting, we have Johnson & Johnson reporting, American Express, AT&T, and many other stocks. It's going to be a busy week and super sensitive to the market the earnings are. So important to follow up, especially if you are trading stocks, of course. Now let's switch to commodities, and we'll start with our favorite natural gas. I know a lot of customers are busy with natural gas. Some are holding long positions and hoping for recovery. Let's see what happens. You know, there's an interesting saying that I like to mention. Actually, I haven't mentioned it here yet, but I heard it many, many years ago, and it goes the following. It says, if you're in a trade and you're hoping and praying, that means you're over leveraged. I hope you understand what it means. So that's why it's important to really measure your risk, to apply risk management and money management, that you always have sufficient funds to sustain the move against you, calculated move, not just let it go and hope. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately, and we know that statistically it doesn't work as well. So long beginning to natural gas. So natural gas, we did have a few attempts to break below 2, and I think Friday we went as low as 1.945, and we recovered. So on Friday, natural gas moved up almost 5%, a nice move. I'm just gonna bring the 1-hour chart. After that dropped below at in the morning at 11 GMT, but a nice move to the upside. This was interesting, and we did close above the 210 area, and that's what we were discussing before. If you go on the daily chart, before we went close to 2, we've been holding around 210. We bounced from here at 211. We were holding until we broke below. So let's see, maybe we'll repeat this similar scenario here. The moment we came down from the channel, we moved and made a high. So there was a lot of accumulation, few faces, another one here, another one here, another one here, and then a failed move below and kind of a failed sell-off that ended up Friday with a move to the upside of 5%. So let's see, this could be it or not. Like I said, we can always go lower in case they decide to push it lower, and we can go to 180, we can go to 160, anything could happen. But if you take a look at the weekly chart, this is actually the first week after 1, 2, 3, 4, after 5 week declined. So let's see. It might work out this time, it might not. So that's natural gas. Crude oil. Crude oil is holding nicely after a recent move up. Again, just for people not familiar, there was a surprise decision by OPEC Plus to cut production, and that was over the weekend. So the instrument gapped up, and it was really holding. It was a lot of attempts here to push it lower, and then finally we broke and we hit 83 plus, and the week we closed at 82.66, and we are above all the moving average. So let's see what brings this week for the oil. Of course, it will be depending what the global economy is doing. China has a lot of announcements, so definitely China is affecting the oil, as China is being one of the biggest buyers of oil. So let's see how that works out. Gold and silver had a nice week, but ended up selling off. And a few things. One of them, it's the 10-year yields that I mentioned sometimes. They went above 2.5 again. And this is one of the things. And gold bounced to the upside. Sorry, US dollar bounced to the upside, and gold sold out on Friday. It was a strong sell-off. Everybody was hoping that we are on the way to retest the all-time highs. We did try though, but Friday raised the previous 2 days of the move to the upside. So we are, if you take a look at the weekly chart, we are above the 1988 level. That's what we marked right here because of this candle here on the week of April 10th. Interestingly, almost exactly a year from which was sold out. So we are holding this 1988, and let's see if we hold here and certain things will work out. The gold might actually continue to the journey of trying to retest the all-time highs, and if not, we dip before that, below that, we might see some moves to the downside, and the next support could be around 1950 area for gold. Silver also sold out on Friday, as you could see. Now, a few things that I want to add to the commodities. First of all, let's take a look at sugar. We spoke about sugar last week and had a nice move to the upside. And if you remember, I mentioned to you this level on the monthly chart, and there was from 2016, we did hit that level, and there was 2408. And interestingly, how mysteriously things work. We did move higher, a lot higher, and then we closed just 1 penny above that level. So let's see, interesting. It's going to be interesting watching sugar this week. Will we try to challenge that high of the week, or will we go lower and try to see where is the next support? As you could see clearly, there was a profit taking happening here. So again, sugar monthly chart, we are at the level of 2016, September of 2016, and this is a serious level. As you could see, before that 2012 was sold out, and then 2016 after reaching that level was sold out. And let's see if that repeats itself again, or we might move higher. Let's see what happens. So that's sugar. Now corn and wheat had a nice Friday. Let's take a look. Beautiful Friday for corn, and actually challenging the previous attempt to go higher here on the 3rd of April. The high was 668. We closed 75 cents below. So again, some traders might find it as a cup and holder formation, and that would kind of indicate for the continuation to the upside. It could happen. Let's see if that follows. Wheat also on Friday, it broke the previous day's high, and it is trying to move higher. Let's see if that happens. So that's it with commodities, and let's move to the Forex world. We start with dollar index. As I said, with the yields going higher, dollar recovered a little bit after this 3 days or 3 sessions sell-off. We went briefly below 101. Friday we went as low as 100.44, so we are getting closer to that 100 mark, and we closed We closed at 101.25. So let's see if this continues. And of course, based on that, the majors should be doing the same thing. Let's just take a look really quickly what majors are doing. Australian dollar sold, almost erased Thursday's gain on Friday. It's sitting right on the 200 moving average. And also, interestingly enough, you have 50 moving average is touching, almost touching the 200. And again, just to remind you, certain things that traders are looking for here, you see the golden cross when the 50 moving average went above, so it's a positive or bullish sign, and the opposite when the 50 dips below, which I don't think it did yet, but it's getting close there, that would be a bearish sign possibly. But again, it's not so clear. Sometimes it's lagging. As you could see here, the cross happened around here, but the move is already happening. So, but they do like to show it off even on financial channels on the television. So that's Australian dollar. Let's see how it handles this level here. New Zealand dollar, similar picture here. We did erase the Thursday's gain, literally just erased it. Euro, very, very tough spot here for Euro. As you could see, we're reaching a serious level around 110, 110 and 110.30, 110.40. From this level, we sold back in April of last year. There was a huge drop. Then we touched this level recently on January 29. This is the weekly chart. Okay, the week of January 29th, and then we just touched it last week again. We failed to go higher. So back to daily chart. As you could see here, we briefly went above that level. We closed there on Thursday, and the very next day we closed below as the dollar got stronger. So very serious, this level around 110.30. We'll be watching. We could possibly see again, if the dollar continues the strength and other things lined up, we might see actually a sell-off on euro dollar at these levels. Pound, the same idea. Take a look. We had a nice resistance here in December. A few attempts to break in January. Finally, we broke in the beginning of April, and we failed to go higher. We tried. Actually, Thursday we closed higher than the previous high, and Friday we're back into the channel, and the channel between 119.40, let's say, to 124.40, about 500 pips channel that was working here. So you could see we went higher, bounce, came back to the base of the channel, back to the resistance, back to the support, failed out, came back into the channel. Again, we broke finally through it on April 4th and back into the channel. So now we should be watching. If we start building resistance around this level, we might actually see continuation to the downside, but it depends on a lot of things, including the strength of the US dollar. Okay. Now, another one, just want to briefly follow up on Euro Aussie, our plan that we spoke about. If you remember, I mentioned to you this level 162.24. The moment we break, we might see a nice move to the upside. We did. Initial spike came back, confirmed there was a real move, and we went this week as high as 164.37. So that's about 200 pips from this level. Nice move. Thursday was a sell-off, and Friday move back to the upside. So if you bring weekly chart, that's why I mentioned this level very seriously. So from here we sold. There was a lot of attempts here. Finally, this is the second week that we closed above, and we actually cleared that level. The whole candle was above that level without touching it. So this is a strong sign. Now, if this instrument tries to move higher, the next test would be here at 64.35. And we just, let's see if we touch that. Yeah, we did touch it. We went a little bit about it. So let's see. Very interesting situation here. So Aussie or Euro Aussie, we'll continue watching that. And one more pair I just wanted to bring up is the Euro Japanese yen. It's been super strong, and we are on the way to possibly retest the highs here. And that would be a significant level here. On monthly and weekly, it looks like we are trying to reach that level of resistance, and the high is 148.39. So why are we saying that? It means that when we do reach that level, we might face resistance there. Just to pay attention. And I think I forgot to bring the Japanese yen, USD, JPY. Also, we are trying to break out of this resistance here. We tried here, we're on the way there again. We are exactly at between the 100 and the 50 moving average. Let's see if this week we manage to break out. So that's it with Forex, and let's just wrap it up with our favorite Bitcoin, which is trading about 30,000. As we said, that 30,000 will be next psychological level. Technically, I don't see anything specific here. Maybe just this tail over here. Let's see. So this was back in 2021. This is weekly chart, so the week of May 16th. And the low here was 30,033. Okay, so let's just take a look where we now. We are trading above that level, and it looks like we are building that support in order to continue moving higher. Fundamentally, there's nothing specific that we can mention. Technically speaking, we are holding above the 30, so that would give a hope to traders for continuation to the upside. Okay, we're going to wrap it up, and I want to thank everyone, of course, for attending the webinar. I hope you take something practical for your trading week. And just to summarize things, we are in the beginning of the earning reports, and we did have some reports last week that includes big banks. We'll continue this week with some more banks, and Tesla and Netflix, other serious stocks that kind of showing the situation in the equity markets. We see the VIX at the critical levels, at the low levels, which might indicate that the market is overextended. Maybe it's time for it to dip in. That's a general approach of the analysts. That's what they mentioned. And we have a few events in the economic calendar that we mentioned. Try to pay attention to that. Prepare yourself, put reminders if you like. And of course, it's going to be an interesting week as new earnings are coming in. We're getting close to the Feds. By the way, I think I forgot to mention that. I want to show it to you. This is the current situation, the Feds. It shows that next decision on May 3rd, there's a 78% probability that they will increase by 0.25. So that actually increased since last week. In the middle of the week, it was around 65%, and it went as high as 78. So good thing I mentioned that to you. Again, you can find it. You just Google CME Group Fed Watch, and you get that information. I want to wish everyone a great weekend, whatever it's left, and get some energy, get some power for the upcoming week, and definitely want to wish everyone a successful week. All the best. Take care. We'll be back next week.